starting here at literally any second. It looks like we are good to go here. So, prologue. Nothing really to report on the prologue. We're just gonna see a bunch of bunny hops, optimizations coming out from our runners since we don't have our dash. Pretty easy stuff. 40 seconds in. Looks a bit low from Gamma. I might see a climb here. Yep, getting a climb in there. So basically, whenever, depending on the distance that you are from when you jump off of the crumble blocks, you could get a climb that we just saw. There is an optimal spot that you can jump from to get uh, right on the ledge, but it's really not that important unless you're really going for like the best time. It looks like we got a stream sync here. Alright, so chapter one, there's really not too many mechanics that we have to worry about in chapter one. Most of it is just how good our runners can optimize their dashes, their hypers, and whatnot. There are some things to take note of, but the runners are going to be done with the stage so quickly. The features are really not that important. Gamma is gonna have to recover this one. He does get it. Very nice. So for those just joining us, the PBs of these runners is DukeFireBird at a 57:22 and GammaFunction at a 1 hour 5 minute XX second. We do not know his seconds. So right there, you just saw GammaFunction hitting a retry. If you know that you're not going to be able to like die in a quick manner, the other option is to just hit retry. It's the same thing as just taking a death. So you'll see at times when runners are too far away from dying, it's just sometimes quicker to hit retry. And that is both chapters done for our runners. And so GammaFunction is in the battle line right now. Battle line is just an entity that will follow you 3 seconds in the past. If you get hit, that is a death. So you got to make sure that your pathing isn't like where you would be 3 seconds in the past, and you'll be fine. Some rooms you'll see our runners like GammaFunction right there, just going over Battlein, so he knew where he was in the past, and in order to go over top of her. So the way to take this room on GammaFunction's screen can be done in a variety of ways. Lots of backup strats. You just have to make sure that you are not where battle limit will be in 3 seconds. So you can go after any switch, uh, and then just transition to another switch to make sure that you're not too far behind or too far in front of yourself. So right there, you saw Gamma grabbing onto the ledge. Kind of a couple ways to go about that. Going the safe route, it looks like. Wow, almost falling on the spikes right there. Gamma taking a second there to wait for the battalions to go by. And right there, you're going to see Gamma exiting the battle and fight, heading towards the awake sequence. Oh, dashing down to hit the wall to death. Trying to optimize this room, but there's only a couple ways to really optimize this. There he goes. Gets a good speed right there at the end of the dream sequence. Now we are in the awake. All he has to do is get to the end of the stage, and he is done with chapter 2. GammaFunction is on to chapter 3 now. The hardest chapter, in my opinion, because of the cycle-based stuff. There's definitely hard chapters later on, but like for cycle-based stuff, the chapter 3 is where newer runners and uh, less experienced runners have an issue because stuff is on a cycle. So screen transitions really do matter. As you can see, GammaFunction is going to have to go on this death cycle here. Definitely different from the entry cycle. It's about a half cycle off of room entry. So making sure your dashes and whatnot are good is definitely something. So GammaFunction looks like he's going to try to go for the underneath the wall here. Behind the spikes. So he gets that time. Almost falls into the dust bunny, but he looks like he's fine. Firebird now on chapter 3. We've recovered his video, so let's see how he handles these cycle-based rooms. Like he's gonna take some of them safely. Opts to grab the strawberry for some swag. Very nice. Alright, so GammaFunction going for the hyper strat in that room gets it pretty cleanly. Right, so GammaFunction is in the big mess section of chapter 3. 3 sections of the big mess already ordered such that we enter, or we exit rather, where Shiro is going to be. so that we can just talk to him pretty quickly. And completing different sections of the big mess will already clear out different portions of it, and it's optimized such that we get better routes and less debris in the ways of certain rooms. Nice hyper there from GammaFunction's gonna go for this spike jump. Gets it right there. Duke also in the big mess here. Getting the route for a moment. Remembers he has to go. He should be going down before going to the very top. Oh, just barely hits the last dust bunny right there. Oh, that's harsh to see. Getting in on that cycle is not very good. Okay, so Duke finished with the first portion of the big mess, going into the second portion now. I believe GammaFunction is going into the third portion here. So now that Duke took a death in that room, the cycles again are gonna be in a different spot. So let's see how he handles this. The floor where Duke at the end of this room is dying. You can't land back on that platform once you jump off of it, or at least in the same spot that you jumped off of it, because it will produce dust on them, and then you are unable to go back onto it, or you would take a death. So Duke done with second portion, going on to the third portion. I had thought that he was on the third portion already, but I misspoke. So both runners about in the same spot here. Gamma just slightly out in front by one room. Duke opting for a safer strat here. Gets through that room. GammaFunction trying to go for a dash onto this part, and then try to get the dash over. He gets it just fine. Gotta be careful on that middle platform because that is one of the lethal blocks. Gamma is now finished with the third portion, is going to move on past the big mess now. Ouch, it's a harsh death there by GammaFunction. He's trying to get a little fancy with it, but we'll see how it pays off. Didn't get those two other switches. Now he doesn't have a dash. Recovers very nicely. Duke through that room. So both runners about in the same spot. It's a little wall dash there by Duke. How they both handled these last rooms before the Yoshiro fight. GammaFunction is indeed on the last room before the Yoshiro fight. No, yeah, he is. Okay. Yuki getting the key, hitting retry because it is indeed faster than going back. Alright, Duke is through. Now moving on to the Oshiro fight. So here, cycles matter a lot more than they did before because you're going to see Oshiro dashing across the screen at us and not taking an optimized path can definitely lead to Oshiro just clipping us just like it did Duke there. Be switching over to Duke's audio here. Gamma seeming to take the safer path there instead of just doing the hop dashes all the way across. Duke getting the bop onto Oshiro. So now Duke is on the last room here of the Oshiro fight. Definitely a long room, so deaths towards the end of this room can be pretty costly. So I hope good RNG on him. Ouch, that was almost at the end there, so that is a heavy time loss. And Gamma time to catch up. So I'm going to touch on how deaths in this game work compared to time. So you can see that the further that a runner is into the room, the further back they have to go. So if you're in a very long room and you do take a death, this allows your opponent to catch up that much more. So Duke dying in the same spot again, just giving Gamma a significant amount of time to catch up. So at this point, Gamma is only a couple rooms, if not one room back from where Duke is currently. But this is definitely one of the harder rooms in the game that Duke is on right now. Casually, I believe it took me a very long time because Oshiro is not a nice guy when it comes to this room. I'm missing one of the jewels there for the Dasher Punishers. Is now on the same room as Duke. We are at neck and neck now. All right, so Duke waiting right there before Oshiro gets a chance to dash at him. Very smart. Both runners out of Chapter 3 at the same time. We have a great race on our hands, folks. GammaFunction does have a 6-second lead on Duke at the moment. This game is timed in game time, so you keep that in mind. It's not real time, it is game time, so the timer that you see in the top left of their screens or underneath their names is their official time. Chapter 4 here. We're going to be seeing wind making it difficult for our runners to progress through the stage. Also, these green bubbles giving us a short distance to work with. In terms of dashing, you do get a directional based dash when you enter a green bubble, and it is timer based, so you can't just sit in it all day. So you'll be seeing our runners shorten that time, hopefully, with using the dash button to leave it quicker. Both runners in the same screen, pretty much neck and neck. GammaFunction with about a 3-second difference on Duke. Okay, so Gamma lining up here for this jump. Right, same screens again. Wind is still playing a factor in difficulty moving forward. So management of the dash mechanic is definitely important here when progressing. GammaFunction taking a death. Not easy screens to move through. Goes for some fancy stuff. Oh, dies at the very end there. It's harsh. Hate to see it. He's going for a reverse dash. I don't know if it's a hyper or just a dash jump. Ooh, Gamma getting crushed right there by that block. A secret room entry there by GammaFunction. Unintended, but in case you didn't know where that was, there it is. This room is definitely difficult for the cycle base because the heavy wind does happen at a specific time. Right, GammaFunction taking the lead. Now you're going to be seeing the wind increase in speed more so than it was before. So it's important to note that now you're basically not even able to move forward without dashing. You can see GammaFunction going with um, just dashes, uh, floor dashes to get ahead, because walking you just don't even get any distance. Now we also have the snowballs that get hit in the face. That's a death. She saw Gamma's screen. The moment that he stops holding the direction that he wants to go, the wind is just like, hey, I'm here. Takes a death because of it. So these rooms are not easy. Duke only a screen behind. Snowball hitting him in the dome. Oh, Gamma jumping off of the ledge at the very end there. Oh, he was right at the end of that room. All right, Gamma gets through it the second time here. The wind really giving him an issue here. Doesn't matter now, through it. Now we get wind forward, making this room pretty simple to get through. Alright, GammaFunction is complete with Chapter 4. Gonna move into Chapter 5, the Mirror Temple. Duke struggling with this room. Hopefully he gets it in the next couple of attempts. Want to keep this race as close as possible. It gets through this now, coming towards the end of chapter 4, Gamma entering. Let's see how Gamma deals with this skip. Is not going to go for the skip there. Goes for the bubble instead. Maybe not comfortable enough to go for it. Maybe he doesn't know where his opponent is. Alright, Duke is finished with chapter 4, 30, 23, 56. He's about a minute and 6 seconds behind Gamma on ending chapter 4. See Gamma trying to go for this block boost here. Very nice. If Duke goes for the skip, going for the screen transition, gonna dash down, wait for it. That is an interesting setup. I have not seen that before, but it obviously works. Very nice on Duke there. Gets it first try and pretty impressive stuff. Duke not going for the block dash there. Honestly, is a pretty tight window if you want to get it or not. See how Duke deals with this room. Gonna do the intended strat, no problem there. Gamma hitting retry before the actual cutscene goes to make sure that it's there that time. See, up he took a second, realized it wasn't there. You do need to, in fact, get to specific Y or X coordinates in those rooms to get the skip cutscene trick. The unfortunate thing is the developers did put the skip cutscene on the retry button, so if you miss it, you're going back to the beginning. Duke on entering the seeker portion here. Still about a minute and a half behind. Alright, Gamma coming up on the biggest skip of the game here. It was a nice ultra by Gamma. I did not expect that. And Duke as well coming up on the key skip here. See how he goes about it. First try, it looks like very good. GammaFunction on the Theo portion of chapter 5. Well, you gotta grab Theo there, buddy. Oh, nice seeker. He gets through it that time. Pretty routine stuff coming out from the runners now. The whole managing of Theo, you're not able to dash with while carrying him, managing pretty much every aspect of uh, same part of like the prologue where you don't get a dash. The only other thing is you do have to manage another aspect in Theo. Oh my goodness, Gamma just narrowly escaping right there. I think the Seeker hit Theo out of his hands and let him avoid that Seeker. That is indeed lucky stuff. This is definitely one of the harder areas of the game, just because you do have to make sure Theo doesn't die by going into a hole or in spikes or something like that. Actually, he doesn't die to spikes if you throw him through that wall on Gamma's screen. But dropping him down a hole is, in fact, death. So you're seeing Gamma just having to dodge the Seeker over and over, crushing Theo right there. Unfortunately, kind of had to do it. So that's a death. So what I mean by Theo just dying, that is in fact one way to do it. So management of him, making sure you keep the Seekers away from you, all of this stuff be pretty difficult. GammaFunction coming up here towards the end. And we are getting word that Duke is having to step away for a moment, but this does not matter in terms of this race, unless he can't continue. So that means that we're just going to be watching Gamma go through this until until Duke comes back. He did say that he had a work emergency, so hopefully he gets back here in time. It looks like Duke is in fact back. It looks like the emergency was able to be handled pretty quickly. Hopefully it doesn't happen again while he's doing a level, because his in-game time would in fact continue. Ooh, harsh death there by Duke. Alright, not gonna get the dash upward, gets it the second time. So Duke just going through the motions here. Oh, that's harsh. Now he's gotta wait for the Kevin block to come back. Hopefully it's back before he runs out of stamina. It looks like it will be. Not an issue there though. Oh, must have forgot what the room was after him. Because that is a death to spikes there. Happens to all of us though, honestly. So just to note, the feather blocks do give us a directional dash, quote unquote, in a direction for a set amount of time. Uh, and it gives us our best speed as long as we're turning less than or equal to 13 degrees. So most of the time you'll see our runners go from D-pad to um, D-pad to analog stick. Couldn't find the word. And that way we can get the full movement out of the block. Also, Chapter 6 is the first stage to introduce a branching path for our runners. Wow, look at those bounces off those things. Call them honestly. Um, Bumpers. There we go. Found the word. Almost gets crushed there. Takes the bottom path. Ooh, almost spikes there and does a good job avoiding them. Ah, hits the bumper at the end there. It's harsh. Being very aggressive with the angle of the feathers, honestly. Let's see him get past this part right here. Dodges the bumper. Those bumpers are aggressively intimidating. Because the one wrong move and you're going into spikes. Oh, jumps underneath the Kevin block. Let's see how Duke deals with the developer intended skips here. Goes for the second one, going for the third one, gets it very nicely done. Duke moving on to the battle and fight after the screen. Almost gets the battle and boost. Get your hey yas in chat. Good dodge there by Duke. So this room that Duke's in is one of the more tricky rooms casually, because that laser does like to track you and make your life miserable. Lost the audio there, but we got it back. All right, so Duke moving on to phase two. Oh, takes a death. now on top of all the attacks from Battlein, now we got to worry about these dashing blocks to add to the insanity that is the Madeline or the Battlein fight. Pardon. I mean, I guess you're fighting yourself, so they're both Madeline. And so Duke on the last room here of the battle and fight. No mishaps, and we will see the end. It does get through it. So Duke has leveled up, gets the second dash. Gonna be moving on to chapter 7. Alright, so chapter 7 in a nutshell, we're gonna be seeing um, we're gonna be seeing chapter 6, and then we're gonna be seeing chapters 1 through 5 at each 500-meter interval. So we just got word from Gamma. It looks like he did not notice that OBS was being poopy. So hopefully we get him back in a moment. Alright, there he is. Alright, so Duke done with chapter 6. We're going to move on to chapter 1, 500 meters of the summit climb. So I'm going to be referring to these levels in chapters and in meters so that you understand what's going to be coming out and for mechanics per stage. So 500 meters is in fact the chapter 1 mechanics. So envision what you saw in chapter 1 with these blocks that propel you in a direction, and then add an extra dash to it, making for some interesting levels. Good recovery there by Duke. Alright, it looks like we got Gamma back here. He is also, in fact, on the summit climb right before it. So we should be seeing his time that he currently has when he enters chapter 7. It looks like he's at a 44.22. So Duke is in fact ahead by a couple minutes. I would say 2.5 minutes. Nothing that this runner can come back from. Can't come back from. So Duke is on chapter 2. Can't recover there, Duke, buddy. Unfortunately, you lose your dash at the end there. That's it. So it's a big thing knowing screen transitions in this game because depending on if you want to hyper into a screen or if you want to do all of the stuff depends on the next screen coming up. So Gamma on the 500-meter portion, chapter 1, mechanics, is about to be finished, it looks like. No, I take that back. He's got a couple more screens to go. Duke, in fact, finishing up chapter 2, 1,000 meters, moving on to chapter 3, 1,500 meters. The screen that Duke is on really caught me off guard the first time I played this game casually. The dust bunny is going at a diagonal like that can be very misleading. There is no issue. Hey, Gamma done with his 500 meters, moving on to 1,000 meters. Duke having to deal with the cycles of chapter 3 again. Always a nightmare. Right, so Duke making his way through 2,000 meters here. Right, GammaFunction moving on to 1,500 meters. While Duke is closing in on his 2,500 meter. Right, so Duke I almost called him Firebird. What am I doing? Duke, moving on to the final room here of the summit. Not the summit of chapter 4's summit. I'm getting vocabularily mixed up, if that's even a word. GammaFunction dying there on the dust that he's already stepped on. Having a little difficulty with this room. He's not getting the hyper there he wants. There's the hyper that he wants. But unfortunately dies. So Duke in the chapter 5, 2500 meter portion here. About 4 or 5 minutes ahead of GammaFunction. Unless Duke royally messes up here, it is looking like a race for him to lose. Doesn't even waste time trying to go for key skip, just goes for the bubble instead. Duke taking a safer way through that room. You can squeeze through the crevice there. Going for door skip, misses it. For door skip again, misses it. Goes for door skip the third time, gets the first one. Hopefully he gets the second one here. Not as difficult. Gets it very nicely done, saving countless years of time in the speedrun. Gamma finished with chapter 3 of his summit. Oh, Duke dying at the very end of that room. Gamma just going a little bit too far over that block. See if he knows how to deal with this without having the block there. Does in fact know how to do it. Taking a little stroll on this block here. Doing a little climb. On Duke got dashed down and there we go. Gets it. Does in fact jump on top of the block there to get his double dash back. Don't want to make the same mistake he did the first time. Alright, so Duke is on his final 30 flags here. It's a hard jump there to make. Duke. And Duke is finishing his downdraft portion here. GammaFunction on his chapter 5 portion here. All right, flag 11 here for Duke. Looks like Gamma is as well into his flag to climb. Gamma making work of the no stamina climb there. Duke nearing the end here on his summit climb. Flag 2 almost at the top. Go back down for the dash. Nah, you gotta take the retry, buddy. It's unfortunate. Flags towards the top. Definitely need to be taken in a specific manner. Right. Coming up on time here for Duke. And that is time for Duke. The time of 1 hour flat with some microseconds, but nonetheless, 1 hour time for him. GG's in chat. Fortunately, we do not have. We could have a short interview with Duke while Gamma is finishing up. Gamma finishing up his summit climb here. Is on pace right now to PB. He has a 1:05 time, 1 hour 5 minute time. So still could do it. Hey Duke, GG.
Hey, thank you. Apologize, I had to take that quick, small little break there. I had a phone call from work.
No issue. It seemed that Gamma's OBS crashed as well, so like there was just a whole bunch of stuff going on the stream. So
yeah, tech issue stream. That's a fun one.
yeah. So nonetheless, he is finishing up here. He's on flag 5, so only have enough time for a short interview. Just a quick question. You had the death at the end of 2,500 meters where you jumped off the block and didn't have an extra dash. How'd that make you feel when you just like couldn't get up
To
there?
be honest, that phone call that I got really threw me off. It just so I was playing very sloppy at the end. Today just might not be my day or something. I don't know. But
stuff like that definitely can get in your head.
Yeah, because it was more like I don't know if like I have to cancel my next match. Luckily, I don't. But it's just one of those things that's like, oh, great.
Yeah, I got you. Well, Gamma finishing up here on flag 1. So let me get your last thoughts here about the race while we finish up. We do have to move on.
What did Gamma's time end up being since?
He is currently on the last flag. It looks like he's going to get a 1:03.31.
Okay,
so
he's getting better. That's good.
That's a PB for him.
Good. Yeah, he's gunning for a sub 1, and I really hope he gets it. I mean, I started above sub 1, and I'm down to 57, and
Gotcha.
like I know he'll get it.
Yeah, it'll just take a little bit of time, but unfortunately, we are over time, so I'm gonna have to unfortunately not be able to give him an interview as well.
Yeah, GG's Gamma. Thanks for commentating. Thanks for everyone for watching. Stay tuned for the next match here.
Yeah, so as Duke said, we have the race coming up on this channel between GD Tog and Texter. But first, we will be having to take the stream down for tech issues. We're going to be fixing the audio issues that we had throughout that entire race. So do stay tuned. It should only be a moment of downtime, but other than that, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you give our racers a follow. They definitely deserved it for playing their skill. And that is it for me. Everybody have a good evening.